what you guys are gonna have here, man, you're either gonna have the windshield forward or the windshield back when you do your CDL test. So I'll just kind of give you guys a walkthrough, let you know how everything goes. So first, you're gonna start with your air lines. And on everything, you're gonna say not crack, damage, or broke. And anything that holds fluid or air, say not crack, damage, and add in leak it in there. So you got your air lines, your air filter right here. You got your transmission and oil dipstick. Make sure you say they're both at adequate level. You check them during your pre-trip inspection. Power steering reservoir right here. It's not cracked, damaged, broken, or leaking. Power steering reservoir cap. Power steering reservoir hoses. You got your windshield wiper reservoir, coolant reservoir, caps, and hoses. You got your radiator right here along with your radiator hoses. None of them are cracked, damaged, broken, or leaking. Then move right down here to your steering control arm. Give it a wiggle. Make sure you tell them it's got more than 10 degrees, no more than 10 degrees of play. Okay, follow that all the way down to your power steering gearbox. Not cracked, damaged, broken. Goes right down to your pitman arm. Your drag link right here. That right there is your steering axle, and that spherical one is your tie rod. Okay, then you're gonna move to your leaf spring hangers right here. It's mounted to your frame. None of them are cracked, damaged, broken, or missing your leaf springs. You got your U-bolts there as well. Now on your brake components, they're all gonna have, you know, the same three components. Your brake chamber or brake pod, whichever one you want to call it. Your slack adjuster right here, and your push rod. And then on the inside, obviously you're gonna have your inside rim, your disc brakes. On your rim and your frame, make sure you say they're free of illegal welds. So you'll have your disc brakes, inside rim, inside tire wall. And on your front tires, your tread depth is always greater than 430 seconds. Excuse me. And make sure you say it's evenly worn. Outer tire wall, your outer rim, like I said, is free of any illegal welds. Your lug nuts, there's no indication of looseness. They're all at the proper tension. Your hub oil seals right here, and your valve stem. Okay, this is your windshield front. We're going to continue walking around. Obviously, you want to let them know, your instructor know, there's no leaks, puddles on the ground. The truck doesn't leak or lean one side, so all the tires are properly inflated. Now, on your passenger side of the truck, there's only a few things. You're going to have your radiator fan, obviously, and then you're going to have your air compressor, alternator, and water pump. Those are all three belt driven, and there's no more than 1 inch of play on your serpentine belt. Okay, you got another coolant reservoir tank here with caps and hoses. Now, I might not have said crack, damage, broken on every part, but when you're taking your test, make sure you say that, okay? And then your horn is the only other difference on this side. Now, if you feel like you missed something on the driver's side, it's all the same on the passenger. So we got it again. Your frame, leaf spring hanger, leaf springs, pitman arm, drag link. You know, your brakes are all going to have the same components. Brake chamber, brake pod, slack adjuster, push rod, and your disc brake, inside rim, inside tire wall, etc. Okay, that was your windshield front. Now moving, there's two possible tests, the windshield front or the windshield back. If you get your windshield back, start with the windshield, obviously. Make sure you say it's not cracked, damaged, broken, and it's free of any illegal stickers. Our truck has stickers, but they're legal, so make sure you say it's free of illegal. Door handle, obviously, rear view mirrors, they're all adjusted to you. Your gas tank cap, your straps that holds your gas tank up, mounted to the frame. Your steps, your frame is right here. It's free of illegal welds. This is your hydraulic fluid reservoir cap, sight glass, and this is your on-off valve lever for your hydraulic fluid. You've got some sensors here as well. Anytime you see reflector tape, go ahead and mention it. This particular truck has a control tarp arm. The tarp just closes and opens. Like I said, reflector tape, control tarp arm. Right here is your fire extinguisher. Make sure you say it's properly charged and up to date. You know, you got your fire extinguisher mount. That's properly mounted to the toolbox. Here's the toolbox here. That's properly mounted to the frame. Now on your rear, you're only gonna have to pick out one set of tires. I would start from the back. Like I said earlier, your brakes are all gonna have the same components. Your brake chamber, brake pod, your slack adjuster and push rod, disc brakes, and your inside rim. Now they're very specific on the tires, so make sure you say this is your inside tire and that's your outside tire. So this will be your inside tire wall of your inside tire, top of your tire wall. Remember, the tread depth is greater than 230 seconds, and it's evenly worn. That's your outside. Let me squeeze in here. So this is your outside tire wall of your inside tire. The spacing here is called your butt spacing. This is your inside tire wall of your outside tire. Outside tire wall of your outside, top of your tire wall of your outside tire. Like we said, it's greater than 230 seconds and it's evenly worn. Alright. Outside tire wall of outside tire. You got your outside rim of your outside tire. Your lug nuts. This is your hub for your outside tire, inside tire. Valve stem for your outside tire. Valve stem for your inside tire. Okay? Just like the front, we've got leaf springs with leaf spring hangers. Make sure you say none are missing, just like we did up front. Mud flaps are 8 inches off the ground. That's very key. And on your rear of the truck, you're going to have your D-rings. There's 2 of them. Your glad hands, which one of ours is broke, don't worry. This is your pintle hitch with your pintle hitch lock that locks it in. All of your lighting. Okay, this is your electric connection if you have electric brakes, and for your lights on your trailer. All of your rear lighting is of the proper color and fully functional. Obviously we got our tag, belongs to the vehicle. Our gate right here, there's more reflector tape. Our gate chain and our gate lock. Okay? Passenger side, we got our ladder. It's properly welded. More reflector tape. More reflector tape, more reflector tape. Control tarp arm in case you missed it on the driver's side. This is where a toolbox was supposed to be, as you can see. Okay, cones and cone rack properly mounted to the frame. This right here is our battery box. It's properly mounted to the frame. Right here we have our exhaust and our heat shield. And right here we have our primary and secondary air tanks with all the hoses and sensors. This is our shut on and off valve. We drain at the end of each work day, so if it's too cold it won't freeze the tanks up. Make sure you drain those. Steps, passenger door, passenger windows. Basically on the rear, if you see it, say it. But everything I mentioned in the video will get you by. Alright, so after you do your walk around, you're going to move on to the inside of the vehicle, do your in-cab inspection. Before you start it, let your instructor know floorboard clean and clear of any obstruction. Nothing's going to obstruct your driving. We have spare fuses in here. As you can see, make sure you say that. And under the passenger seat back here, there's a 3-piece reflective triangle along with a first aid kit back there. Okay. On this particular truck, it shows the truck height. I would go ahead and mention that for brownie points. Okay, after you mentioned, oh, don't forget, on your steering wheel, before you start it, let them know there's no more than 10 degrees of play, okay? So after you've said all that, go ahead and start your vehicle. Now what you're going to do is you're going to point out all the gauges. And they all say what they're, you know, what they're supposed to do. So for instance, that's my battery amp gauge. You'll say, this is my battery amp gauge, it's at the proper amperage. Transmission temperature gauge, proper temperature. Oil pressure gauge, proper pressure. Water or coolant temperature gauge, proper temperature. RPM gauge, just give it a little gas, show them it works. This is your speedometer right here, which you're going to show them that works during the air brake test. Obviously, this is my battery volt gauge. It's at the proper volts. Fuel gauge, we have plenty of fuel. And our air pressure tanks are labeled 1 and 2. One is primary and the other is secondary. Normal operating range is 120, so they're at the adequate operating range. After that, you're going to basically show them your left blinker works, right blinker works, your four-ways work, your regular horn, then your city horn works. This comes with 2 horns, so I show them both. You turn on your regular headlights, then turn on your brights. They just want to know that you can operate this vehicle before they go on a drive. Next, what you're going to do, turn on the defrost. Show them you know how to do the defrost. Okay. Then you're going to hit your wipers with a little fluid. We're out of fluid at the moment, but make sure you guys have plenty of fluid. After you've said all of that, you'll tell your instructor that concludes my in-cab inspection. Then you'll move on to your air brake test, okay? Very first thing you're going to want to do, you're going to want to kill the vehicle right away. Just turn electric power on, just electric power, and release your parking brake, okay? This is very vital, your air brake test, okay? At first, you're going to press and hold your service brake for 1 minute to ensure that our pressure doesn't drop more than 3 psi in 1 minute. So basically, you'll sit here and hold the brake until your instructor lets you know it's been a minute. After it's been a minute, you'll let off the brake and you can let your instructor know it has not dropped more than 3 psi in 1 minute. Okay? Next step to your air brake test. You're going to want to fan your service brake to ensure that our audio and visual warning system comes on around 60 psi. As you can see, it came on around 60 psi. Now you're going to continue to fan your service brake to show them that the parking brake will apply around 30 psi. Keep fanning it until your parking brake applies around 30 psi. Now you're going to start the vehicle to build pressure back up to continue your air brake test. If it was me, what I did, I just gave it a little bit of gas to speed this process up. Because you're going to be nervous taking your test, so just take it easy and relax. Just be confident, okay? Alright, so we're almost at operating pressure. Do not start your air brake test till you're at 120 psi, okay? Like I stated before, we're just giving it a little gas to build up pressure a little faster. You'll know when you're at the right pressure because the truck has a purge valve it'll release. You should be able to hear it in the video. Okay, so we're at 120 psi. We're going to go ahead and continue our air brake test, okay? What you're going to do now is the tug test. All you're doing is showing your instructor that your parking brake does work. Simply put the gearbox in drive, give it a little gas, and let your instructor know the truck's not moving, as you can see, so the parking brake does in fact work. Next, you're going to do the service brake test, just showing them your brakes work, and like I stated before, showing them your speedometer does work. Simply release the parking brake, get up to speed 3 to 5 miles an hour, just showing that the speedometer does work. Tap on your service brakes until you come to a stop, and that concludes your air brake test. Whatever you guys do, you can go out of order on everything else, just don't go out of order on your air brake test. Good luck.